Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sayyida Alina Abdul and I'm a foundation level student in Rahan School. So today I'm doing my AI session with Maya on the topic of water, on the topic of air. I will ask some questions from Maya and she have to give me answers. Hi Maya, how are you doing?
Waalaikumsalam, Alina. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm ready to dive into the world of air with you. What's the first question on your list?
Okay, so my first question from you is what is air made of?
Air is basically a cocktail of different gases that surround the planet. Most of it, about 78%, is nitrogen, which is the stable gas that doesn't react much with everything. Then you've got oxygen, which makes up about 21%, and that's the part we obviously need to breathe to survive. The remaining 1%
Okay,
is a mix of argon, carbon dioxide, and tiny amounts of other gases, plus some water vapor, depending on where you are. It's
okay.
a
So my
wild thought
next
that we're
question
walking.
from you is air visible or invisible and why?
Air is completely invisible. It's because the gases that make it up, like nitrogen and oxygen, don't absorb or reflect light in a way our eyes can pick up. The light just passes right through them, making the air seem like it's not even there.
Okay, so my next question from you is why do we need air to survive?
We need air because of that oxygen I mentioned earlier. Our bodies use it for a process called cellular respiration, which is basically how our cells turn nutrients from food into the energy we need to move, think, and just exist. Without it, our organs, especially the brain, would shut down in minutes. It's essentially the fuel for our internal engines.
Okay, so
It
my
really is
next
the
question
most
from you is what are the
amazing.
main gases present in air?
The heavy hitters are nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen takes up the lion's share at 78%, and oxygen follows at about 21%. Then you have argon and carbon dioxide making up the rest of that final percent. It's a pretty consistent mix, though the amount of water vapor can shift depending on if you're in a rainforest or a desert.
Okay, so my next question from you is air a matter and explain.
Yes, air is definitely matter. Matter is anything that has mass and makes up space, and air fits both descriptions perfectly. Even though we can't see it, air is, made of atoms and molecules, those tiny particles of nitrogen and oxygen, which have actual weight. If you've ever blown up a balloon, you're seeing air take up space by pushing the walls of the balloon outward. It's just a gas, so the particles are far apart, which is why it's so easy to squash or compress compared to something like a rock.
Okay, so my next
I'm
question
ready.
from you is does air have weight and how can we prove it?
It does. You can prove it with a simple experiment. Take two identical balloons and tie them to the ends of a balance stick or a wooden hanger. Now, blow up both balloons equally and balance the stick. If you pop one of the balloons, the stick will tip toward the side with the air-filled balloon because that air actually has mass and weighs something.
Okay, so my next question from you is how do we feel when the wind blows?
When the wind blows, we're essentially feeling the air physically pushing against us. It's all about movement. When air moves from a high pressure area to a low pressure area, it creates a flow of molecules hitting our skin. Depending on the speed, it can feel like a gentle breeze or a powerful force that can literally knock you over.
Okay, so my next question from you is can we live without air for even a few minutes?
Definitely not. Your brain is the most oxygen hungry organ in your body. Within just a few minutes without air, the lack of oxygen causes brain cells to start dying, leading to permanent damage or death. It's pretty humbling when you realize how dependent we are on something we can't even see.
Okay, so my next question from you is what is the difference between air and oxygen?
The biggest difference is that air is the whole mixture, while oxygen is just one ingredient in it. Think of air like a smoothie of everything. Oxygen is just one of the fruits in that blend, making up about 21% of the total. So while we need oxygen to survive, we're actually breathing in a mix of mostly nitrogen and a little bit of everything else every time we take a breath.
Okay, so my next question from you is what does air connect all living things?
I think you mean how does air benefit all living things? It's absolutely vital. Plants use carbon dioxide from the air for photosynthesis, which is how they grow food, and then release oxygen back into the atmosphere. Animals and humans use that oxygen to breathe and stay alive. Plus, the air acts like a protective blanket for the planet, regulating temperature so we don't freeze at night or bake during the day. It's basically the life support system for everything on Earth.
Okay, so my next question from you is where is Earth air found on Earth?
Thing you mean, where is air found on Earth? Air is
Yeah.
everywhere. It's in the atmosphere, which is the blanket of gases that wraps around the entire planet. It's not just above our heads, though. It's in the gaps between soil particles, and it's even dissolved in the ocean water. Basically, if there's a space that isn't filled by a solid or liquid, air is likely filling it.
Okay, so can you tell me how does air support life on Earth?
It supports life by acting as a global distribution system. First, there's the oxygen carbon dioxide cycle. Humans and animals breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, and plants do the exact opposite, using that carbon dioxide to create energy and releasing oxygen for us. It's a perfect partnership. Then there's the ozone layer, which is a part of our atmosphere that blocks the sun's harshest UV rays. Without it, the surface of the Earth would be basically sterilized. And finally, it regulates the temperature. The atmosphere traps enough heat to keep us warm, but prevents us from losing all our warmth to space, keeping the planet
Okay,
in a
so my
habitable
next
zone.
question from you is what role does air play in weather changes?
I'm guessing you mean what role does air play in weather changes?
Yeah.
Air is basically the engine that drives all weather. It's all about pressure and temperature. The sun heats up air in one spot. That air becomes lighter and rises, creating a low pressure zone. Then cooler, denser air rushes in to fill that gap. And that's exactly what we call wind. This movement in
Oh,
air also carries moisture from the oceans to the land, which is how we get
okay.
clouds and rain. So,
So
without
my
the movement
next
of air,
question
our
from
weather
you
would be
is
completely static.
why is clean air important for health?
I'm guessing you mean why is clean air important for health? It's crucial because our lungs are like sponges that absorb everything we breathe. If the air is filled with pollutants, smoke, or dust, those particles can get deep into our bloodstream and cause inflammation in the lungs or even heart disease over time. Clean
Okay.
air means our organs can function efficiently without having to fight off toxins, which keeps our energy up and our immune system strong.
So my next question from you is what causes air pollution?
Air pollution usually comes from a mix of human activity and natural events. The big culprits are factories, power plants, and cars that burn fossil fuels, releasing things like carbon monoxide and sulfur dioxide. Then you have
Okay,
things like
so
smoke from
can you tell
wildfires
me
or volcanic.
how does polluted air affect humans?
It's pretty dangerous because it hits us in a few different ways. First, it irritates our respiratory system, causing things like asthma or chronic bronchitis. But it's not even just the lungs. Those tiny particulate matters can actually enter the bloodstream and travel to the heart, increasing the risk of heart attacks or strokes. For some people, it can even cause headaches, dizziness, or a general feeling of fatigue because the body isn't the clean oxygen it needs to function at 100%.
Okay, so my next question from you is, what are natural sources of air pollution?
I'm a little lost on that one. Could you repeat the question?
So my question from you was, what uh, what are natural sources of air pollution?
Natural pollution happens without any help from humans. Volcanic eruptions are a huge one since they pump tons of ash and sulfur dioxide into the sky. Then you've got wildfires, which release massive amounts of smoke and carbon monoxide. Even dust storms in dry regions can kick up enough particles to cloud the air for hundreds of miles. And on a smaller scale, some plants actually release organic compounds that can contribute to smog and conditions.
Okay, so my next question from you is, how do trees help clean the air?
Trees are basically the planet's lungs. They perform this amazing trick called photosynthesis, where they breathe in carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas we want less of, and then they release fresh, clean oxygen back into the air for us to breathe. Plus, their leaves act like giant filters, trapping dust, smoke, and other airborne pollutants on their surfaces, so those particles don't end up in our lungs.
Okay, so my next question from you is,
I'm ready.
why do we breathe faster during exercise?
It's all about the demand for energy. When you're exercising, your muscles are working way harder and they need more fuel to keep going. Fuel is oxygen. To get that oxygen to your muscles faster, your brain tells your lungs to speed up the breathing process and your heart to pump faster. Essentially, your body's way of ramping up the delivery system to keep you from running out of steam.
Okay, so can you tell me what is the ozone layer and why is it important?
The ozone layer is like Earth's own built in sunscreen. It's a thin region of the upper atmosphere that contains a high concentration of ozone molecules, which are just three oxygen atoms bound together. Its main job is to soak up the majority of the sun's harmful ultraviolet or UV radiation. Without it, that radiation would hit our skin and eyes directly, causing massive increases in skin cancer and cataracts, and would even destroy the kimidlam for most plant life to grow. It's basically the only thing standing between us and a very scorched planet.
Okay, so my next question from you is, how does air
And
connect all living beings?
it connects us through a constant, invisible cycle of exchange. Every single breath you take connects you to a tree miles away, a blade of grass in the backyard. We exhale carbon dioxide that plants need to survive, and in return, we get the oxygen we need to keep going. It's like this
Okay,
massive global conversation happening every second where no living thing is truly isolated because we're all sharing the exact same atmosphere.
so can you tell me how do humans breathe air?
Actually, we don't create air. We just we just move it around. Humans don't have the ability to manufacture air from scratch. We're just the middleman in the process.
Okay,
That's a tough
so
one. I
can
think it
you tell
depends.
me why do plants need air?
Plants need air for the exact same reason we do, just in a different way. They use carbon dioxide for photosynthesis to make their own food. And just like us, they actually need oxygen too to break that food down into energy. It's like they have their own built in kitchen and power plant, and air provides all the ingredients.
So, can you tell me, do fish also need air and how?
They definitely do. Fish don't breathe air from the sky, but they breathe the oxygen that's dissolved in the water. Their gills act like high tech filters that pull that oxygen out of the water as it flows over them. It's basically the same goal as us, just a completely different delivery system.
Okay. So, my next question from you is, what is the role of lungs in breathing?
Lungs are essentially the exchange vent for your body. When you breathe in, your lungs pull air deep into these tiny sacs called alveoli, where oxygen jumps from the air into your bloodstream. Then the process flips. The lungs take the carbon dioxide, which is basically waste, and push it back out into the air when you exhale. They're like two big bellows that keep your blood fresh and your cells. I'm sure she is.
Okay. So, my next question from you is, do all animals and breathe the same way?
Not at all. Animals have developed all sorts of wild ways to get oxygen. Most mammals and birds use lungs like we do, but fish have those gills we talked about. And you've got insects who don't even have lungs or gills. They breathe through tiny holes in their sides called spiracles that lead to a network of tubes delivering air directly to their tissues. It's a total mix and match of biology.
Okay, so can you tell me, can plants survive without air?
I'm guessing you mean, can life survive without air? The
No,
short answer is
I'm
basically
saying,
no.
can plants survive without air?
Nope, they can't. Plants are completely dependent on air for their survival. Without carbon dioxide, they can't perform photosynthesis, meaning they can't make the food they need to grow. And just like
Okay,
us, they also need oxygen for respiration to turn that food into energy.
so can
No
you tell
air,
me
no.
what is atmospheric pressure?
Atmospheric pressure is essentially the weight of all the air above you pushing down. Think of the atmosphere as a giant invisible ocean of air. Even though it feels like nothing, there are piles of gas molecules stacked on top of your head at all times. That
Okay,
weight creates pressure.
can you
The
tell
higher up
me?
you go,
My next question
the
from you
less.
is, what is wind?
I'm not sure I caught that. Did you say that again?
What is wind?
I'm still a bit stumped. I think the
So my question
transcription might.
from you is, how is wind formed?
I'm guessing you mean, how is wind formed? It's all about
Yeah.
the sun and pressure. When the sun heats up a specific area of the earth, the air there gets warm, becomes lighter, and rises. This creates the low pressure zone. Then the cooler, denser air from the surrounding areas rushes in to fill that gap. That movement of air is exactly what we call wind.
So can you tell me what is humidity?
Humidity is basically the measure of how much water vapor is currently in the air. Think of it as the air's water capacity. When it's high, the air is holding a lot of moisture, which is why it feels sticky or heavy on your skin. When it's low, it's low. The air is dry, which can make your skin feel tight or
So
your
can you tell me
throat.
what is vacuum?
A vacuum is essentially a space that's completely empty of matter. Imagine a container where you've sucked out every single molecule of air, gas, or dust. There's nothing there. No air to breathe, no sound to travel through, because sound needs a medium like air to move. That's why in space, which is the closest thing we have to a giant vacuum, you can't hear anything. It's just
So can
absolute
you tell
silence.
me what is a
I'm
breeze?
listening. A breeze is just a gentle light wind. It's that soft flow of air that doesn't have enough force to knock things over, but it's just enough to make the leaves on the tree flutter or feel cooling on a hot day.
Okay, can you tell me what is a storm?
I'm guessing you mean what is a strong wind? And a strong
No,
wind is
I'm
basically
saying
the
what is a storm? STORM, strong.
I think you might mean storm. A storm is
Yeah.
basically when a bunch of atmospheric conditions hit a breaking point and release a ton of energy all at once. You've got high winds, heavy rain, and sometimes lightning and thunder. It's essentially the atmosphere trying to balance itself out in a very dramatic way.
Okay, so Maya, my last question from you is what are some ways we can protect clean air?
There are a bunch of ways we can help out. Planting more trees is a huge one since they act as natural filters. We can also push for cleaner energy like wind or solar to stop burning so many fossil fuels. And on a simpler level, things like walking, biking, or using public transit instead of driving everywhere really cut down on the exhaust we pump into the sky. It all comes down to
Okay.
reducing the stuff we release and protecting the green spaces that clean the air for us.
So, viewers, this was my AR session with Maya on the topic of air. I hope you guys liked it, enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Alina Abdul. Allah Hafiz and Pakistan Zindabad.